All matches start with selection of heroes. We roll a die for initiative, and I win with a 10 versus a 9. My first selection is Evelyn, one of the best shooters there are because he can attack multiple enemies, deal damage to multiple enemies, and attack in area. My second pick is very closely related to my first. I pick Vanatus the Demon, who's got a very special ability to move enemies around, so I can group them together and possibly deal an attack in area with my shooter. And my third pick is a very strong raw damage dealer, especially when he's injured, since there are few enemies on the board, few heroes on the board. This is a 3 versus 3. I picked Cedric, so I will probably get below 48 HP fast, and he's one of the best heroes there are when he's injured. You roll for the right to place the first hero on the board. You choose one of the two sides, and I lost the second roll. There is a step between selecting heroes and positioning heroes that is assembling the arena, but both my opponent and myself have agreed to use the pre-assembled part of the board. Positioning heroes is very important because it also determines the turn order for the entire match. So the first hero to be positioned is also the first hero to act. My strategy here was to counter move, so my first hero was positioned adjacently to his first hero, and I'm going to place my other two heroes far away from his first hero, because unless he wants to lose his turn, he's going to be forced to attack my bruiser. And bruiser's passive powers are when enemies start their turns adjacent to the bruiser and they attack this bruiser, they take extra damage from the passive power. So you can see my other two heroes are very far away from his brute, and that means that he's going to either lose his turn to get closer to one of my two distant heroes, or he's going to lose 4 damage from my passive power, which is what he will choose. He's going to deal one of the primary attacks from his brute, with the fact that if he hits, he's going to move my hero possibly to lava. His attack hits, he takes 4 damage from my bruiser's passive power. He deals an 11, and you can see in my hero pad that the brutes have 7 defense. And he moves my demon to lava, of course, so I can take an extra 4 damage. I didn't understand right now why he didn't use his move action on the turn to move away from my bruiser and towards my shooter, but he decided not to move, which would gives me some options. I could run for his controller, which is far away on an altar, or I could just keep right there, creating problems for his front lines. I'm right now deciding between Dance of the Damned or Blades of Agony. I don't want to spend a special attack right now. And since all of his 3 heroes are pretty close to mine, I decide to attack with Blades of Agony, which also deals damage to one enemy within 5 squares of myself. It has 2 damage, even though I am a melee character, a close combat character. I can attack Askaran without getting adjacent to him. I hit my attack, so Askaran loses health, and I decide to give the damage from the effect of this attack to Katharina, who is far away, the controller. You can see the HP tokens being moved on the HP track, and an additional effect of the attack is I can swap places with my target. So I swap places with Askaran. I don't know if this was the best decision, but it gets me closer to his controller and gets his possible defense, Askaran, the Archangel, away from me. You can see that we are following the turn orders corresponding to the order in which heroes were positioned on the board. My demon is already very low on health because he hit 2 attacks in a row against him. He's got 23 HP. And my next hero to act is going to be my shooter, Avalon the Wizard. I move my shooter to the altar tile so I can get blast and roll twice and use the best result. I'm going to give the attack magic missile and I'm going to roll twice. I have line of sight both to his Archangel and his Brute. I do not have range to his controller. My passive power is not prompt because I missed the attack. The passive power of shooters are that they deal 4 extra damage if their attack hits an enemy which is 5 or more squares away. I missed my attack, so I only dealt residual damage to his angel. My demon is almost dying, but he has already used 1 special attack and I have used none. And now he cursed my demon. With Black Plague. No, he did not curse. I'm sorry. He made my demon vulnerable. I could not get adjacent to his brute, but I have one of my primary attacks has 2 range, so I can attack him. I hit, and the brute's passive power is if they hit an enemy which has got no allies of mine adjacent to him, the brute deals 4 extra damage. That means if his brute attacks any of my characters right now, he will also deal 4 extra damage. This game is being played with no advanced rules, so it does not incite reaction attacks. He also does not mob my enemies. His attack could kill my demon right now, but after he declared his attack against my demon, I declared, since I have my team token on special ready, I declared counterspell from my wizard. So I spent my special attack and I avoided his attack. I lost 10 HP in the process. It's one of the drawbacks of that special attack. And I successfully managed to avoid his brute's attack against my demon. He manages to stay alive still. And he's the next to act. Since he's probably going to die on the next turn, I'm going to take maximum advantage of that, given the Dance of the Damned, which will make his Archangel go into lava. I attack his brute. He takes maximum full damage from the attack. And I can move 1 square all enemies within 5 squares. So I move his controller outside of the altar tile and I move Oscar into lava, which means he takes 4 damage. When my turn ends, my team token goes to the next hero to act, which is Avalon. This turn order is fixed and will never change, and it is determined on the pre-match procedures when we are positioning heroes on the board. Wings of Justice allows him to, from his benefit, to move 3 squares outside of his move action. So he gets on the altar tile and he gives a critical hit, which means my shooter takes 5 extra damage. He does not need to roll again. He is blessed, but he does not need to roll again because he's already given a critical hit. He deals a little bit of, he heals a little bit of his own health. My shooter is moving away from his Archangel. If we were playing with advanced rules, this move would incite a reaction attack, but we are not, so I can move freely. I rolled twice because I gave an attack that hit 2 enemies, and both of them hit. Both of my rolls were above the target's defenses. I avoided attacking the Archangel because he is protected, his defense is higher than usual, so I decided to attack the controller and the brute. I moved away the brute, it's one of the effects of the attack, but I did not move the brute. Why? Because he's adjacent to my demon. So I would like his turn to start adjacent to my demon so I could possibly proc his passive power. His witch cannot kill immediately my demon, so he attacks the shooter. He's on altar, so he rolls twice and uses the best result, which means he hits the attack and makes my shooter vulnerable. He will take extra damage from attacks that hit him. I can see I am already losing this match even though my brute is on full health. My other 2 characters are dying fast, and he's not attacking my brute on purpose because once he is injured, he gets much stronger. On instinct, I moved my brute on to a position that gets Qatar the brute mobbed, but he is not exposed by this movement because we're playing with basic rules. I deal Bloodthirst special attack, which deals a huge amount of damage but does not proc my passive power because he's adjacent to one of my allies. His brute is almost dying, so he decides to make a special attack. It's Whirlwind. He can strike 2 enemies in the same attack and move while he does that. His benefit allows him to move, and on his move action he moved a bit extra to get adjacent to my shooter. And my demon dies, and my brute gets to 43 health, a very good attack. I flipped my hero pad because my hero died. I decide to give a very special attack which has 2 enemies as their targets. And I attacked Katarina first because I wanted my passive power to go to her, and she has a lower defense than Askiran. But I hit them both. Both of my special attacks from my shooter are used. I can move all enemies I hit 3 squares. So I move both of his characters away from me because I'm almost dying. Since I moved him away, he can't get closer to my characters, not even with Wings of Justice, which has a benefit. So he makes another move action on his prime action. He spends his prime action to move again and get adjacent to my shooter. I move my brute to the altar and I give again the attack which has 2 range. I hit the attack, and since there are no allies of mine adjacent to the controller, she gets 4 extra damage. You can see that we are always alternating turns even though one of my heroes is dead, so after the brute, my next hero to act will be the shooter, regardless of the fact that my demon is dead. She moves past my brute unpunished. Remembering again, if we were using the advanced rules, she would incite a reaction attack from this move. We are flipping the attack card from counter spell up again because one of the effects of this attack card is a permanent, and it makes my shooter hastened. Hastened is a condition that is not applied on this game because it is only relevant if we are using advanced rules. You can see that my shooter also lost his health because the controller's passive power, this is one that I still did not mention, is to deal 4 extra damage to one other enemy when she hits one attack. So she hit my brute with her attack, and the passive power made my shooter lose 4 health. Unfortunately, I missed my attack, so I only dealt 5 residual damage. He also missed his attack, so my shooter only lost 5 HP. It's my brute's turn, and I've got my special ready on. I'm trying to make an extremely powerful special attack, which is buffed when I am low on health, which in this case I am because I only have 21 HP. I hit my attack, and I get to roll twice because I strike him twice. So Askren goes from 32 to 0 HP at once. You can see that we always alternate turns, so even though my enemy's next turn would be Askren's, it is transferred to the next hero on his turn order, which is the Witch. I thought I was going to lose this game, but it is now very close to winning for me. Because one of my heroes has 10 HP and the other one has 21, while his enemies, or his heroes have 3 health and 11 health. However, his witch has a very powerful special attack in which he can swap HP values, and this defines the match because he swaps values between his brute and my brute, and now the table is completely turned. I move my shooter to altar tile so I can make a primary attack, rolling twice and applying the best result. But I think my end is close. I try to deal as much HP damage as I can. I could kill one of them, but I am not. I deal maximum damage to the hero with most HP instead of killing his controller, and I do a bit of extra damage from the effect of the attack to his controller. It is all very close right now. You can see that all heroes are close to death on the HP track. He hits the attack against my brute, so he dies, remembering that if he missed, I would not die because residual damage cannot take an enemy below 1 HP. My plan right now is to attack and run away. If I can kill the witch, I can get far away enough from his brute to make him waste his turn moving instead of attacking me. And if I'm lucky enough, I can kill both of them. So my chances are good. I kill the witch according to my plan, and now I have to move and I have to run away as far as possible. He makes a double move on his turn. He spends his prime action moving, and the reason why he moved there is pretty simple. I cannot go to an altar tile and attack him because if I went to the altar tile, I would lose vision over him. So my chances of hitting my attack are lower. If we were applying the advanced rules, I would sidestep and attack from far away, but it's not necessary. And I miss. Incredibly, I miss my attack. Now I have no other option but to run away, but he can reach me because melee characters can move 6 squares while ranged characters can only move 5. And even if they could move the same, it wouldn't matter. He reaches me and he has an attack that gives him a bonus of +2 on the roll, so he's very likely to hit, and he does. Game over.